What is going on, everyone? My name is Boyd, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology of the Titans action, spawning in the right-hand side of the map in the Smurf color because he's not playing on his actual account and he's completely destroying the Voobly ladder with this Smurf behavior. His name here is Master of Garaki, but we know him better as the Rapl. So it's the Rapl here under the guise of Master of Garaki. Just want you guys to know that's what's going on. His opponent today in the blue color playing as Ra. His name is Kimo, playing on his main account. So you know who you're playing. Very honorable individual. Just want you all to know. This is a viewer-submitted game, so it better be bloody fantastic, that's for sure. And we'll see what's going to happen here. We got Ra versus Odin on Savannah. A fairly fantastic map for Odin players. And not the best, actually, for the Ra players, simply on the fact that you can get stitched up with the food situation at the start of the game, whereas your opponent, it doesn't really matter if you get stitched up or not. So Ra over here for Kimo. If we check out his line of sight and see what he's checking out with his Pharaoh, he has found some gazelle over here, which is nice, and he's found his zebra as well.
In wedge.
So Pharaoh going to be running around doing his thing. We'll see what he's going to do. Obviously, over and grabbing this gazelle is good, but I don't think Kimo went for hunting dogs. I'm not sure if he'll bother with it or not, which will be interesting to see as a Ra player what he wants to try and do. And you can see he's already leaving this, going to come over here and eat this chicken. The walking time to come up here without hunting dogs maybe not worth it, so he's just going to come over and eat all the chicken he has. And Kimo's going to be pretty behind from the get-go. So Ra players have this option of doing this husbandry build, which is good if it's low hunt. But if it's not, if there's actually hunt on the map, Ra players will be behind from the get-go. And it can become very, 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 very difficult for them to get a foothold in the game against a really strong player. So we'll see if Rapl, can take advantage of this. He's going to have all of these gazelle over here. There's some goats over here. You can grab some zebra in this corner. The hunt is fairly low, to be honest. We see a forward temple here by Rapl. It is fairly low hunt, so maybe it's not going to matter all too much. As old mate Rapl is probably going to have to farm fairly early. Slightly idle villager over here is what it is. And Kimo's just going at it now. He's finished up with the zebra over here, getting his wood income. You can see he's gone up to 10 villagers on food, just trying to get himself up to the classical age. At some point, I would be surprised to see Kimo not go for this town center over here. It looks really nice. It's back. It's defensive. It gives him this zebra as well if he needs it. He can start the farms up and play defensive. But he does have this really open gold mine at home. And we will probably be seeing Heimdall here from Rapl. And let's check that out. No, he's going through Freya. So, okay, I don't hate the Freya because you can open this up. So Heimdall would kill this tower. Yeah, whatever. But Freya can come in, forest fire this, and then get a really big push onto this sentry tower here. So we'll see if that's something that Rapl is going to want to try and do here. He has obviously spotted this location here. And the forest fire is not necessarily there to deal damage, so it might actually deal some damage, especially if there's a house that goes down here. But it's more so just to open up this gold mine here. Temple coming up now for Kimo. Very, very late temple from Kimo. I'm interested in the double monument here because I don't think Kimo goes Bast. It's a little bit too gold heavy. But he's gone double monument. Temple going up. Very, very peculiar build. We've got the temple up. Walls already up for Rapl, wanting to play very defensively. There's a couple of funny build orders you can do with Norse against Egyptian, where you just wall the entire map up by 5 minutes into the game. Very defensive, obviously. It's not something that these people would normally do. Kimo does have the resources to advance here, but the temple's not quite there. There's the... No, he's going through Bast. Kimo going through Bast this game. He's forgetting houses. So he's gonna get housed here. So obviously, Rapl has to be lagging here because there's no other way that this would happen normally. The double longhouse is coming down for our Odin player Rapl. The Valkyrie trying to get a couple of chip damages coming in here. And such is life. We'll see how this is going to go. Bast is closed. The Pharaoh is just going to be... I think Kimo is just trading some HP for HP here against the Valkyrie. It's obviously, the Valkyrie wins that fight as the Hersir coming in. No wall segments around this tower at all as the Pharaoh's retreating back. Kimo does have to pull back yet again. And the problem for Kimo here, he's got a lot of gold in the bank, so he can throw up these farms if he wants to, but there's so many Hersir coming in. I'd love to see that forest fire go down here. See the Valkyrie coming in, going to attempt to finish off that Pharaoh. The Pharaoh going to be retreating back. Does manage to get inside the town center there as the Sphinx pushing back. The house finally coming down for Kimo now as he's attempting to build some more units. Another tower coming up for Kimo on this side of the map here. And that's because his other tower is going to be going down. So this one should shoot up fairly fast. The Sphinx is here. He's actually to pull this Pharaoh back to heal that one back up. This tower will get denied here for the time being as Rapl pushing in has to get pushed back. He wants to kill off this watchtower here. No attempted building any extra myth units. Just trying to throw this tower up to keep himself safe and alive here. But Rapl just keeping on. Pushing back in, we see the Pharaoh back in here. It's going to do tons of damage to those raiding cavalry. The villagers coming over here to jab them back. Kimo has so many idle villagers here. You just sort of have to run around and do nothing, and then you'll be okay. There's the forest fire. I'm not sure if that's dealing any damage to the tower or not. Looks like it's just out of range, which is a little bit unfortunate. But Rapl really wants to kill this tower up as we see another watchtower coming down for Kimo. Still no farms getting thrown up. Kimo with a lot of resources in the bank. No Sphinx. There's the Sphinx coming up, but Kimo is housed currently. Two villagers trying to throw them up here. And we're seeing Rapl being able to push in, and he has pushed off this gold line yet again. If he can surround the Sphinx, he can't get the surround there, so the Sphinx is going to be able to pull back, get healed back up. The tower is back up again. No crenellations or anything. Villagers going to come back in onto this location, attempt to fight off the raiding cavalry. The villagers sitting idle for the time being. Another villager does look like it's going to be falling here as the villagers falling left, right, and center. There's 3 Sphinx now, so an eclipsed push here. If he can snipe these 2 Hersir, should be enough to like clean up this entire army. Funnily enough, he does have to focus down those Hersir though. It's like nice micro so far. No cryo Sphinx just yet for Kimo. 0 favor left in the bank. Those Hersir are getting taken down by the villagers. There is the eclipse, and Rapl has to retreat. You can see that damage is so big by these Sphinx. Look at 16.88 damage. The special attack does does AoE damage as well, I believe. So lots of units do fall when the Sphinx comes in and hits them. And then also on top of that, 6-second recharge time on those special abilities while Eclipse is going on. So Kimo has managed to defend here. Farms now coming up for Kimo. Do we see any sort of attempt at Plow? It doesn't look like Plow's coming through just yet for Kimo as he's throwing up his farms. Big mistake there. We'll see if he can manage anything like that. Now, Kimo has managed to defend. He has lots of Sphinx ready to cause chaos, but Rapl's just calmly in his base. It's going to be tough for these Sphinx to really do all too much more as the Hersir have come out. Still no Cryo Sphinx or Hero Cryo Sphinx or any of the upgrades there. More farms coming down. We see the villagers here getting harassed by Rapl into the tower. Going to be retreating back into the farms, doing their thing. You see the priest attempting to retreat away from this. Does manage to stay alive. Rapl kind of stabilized, but Rapl basically, he needs to get Heroic Age very fast now because there's not a solid answer to the Sphinx here, especially because he's building raiding cavalry and such. Get out those Frost Giants, and you should be okay to continue here, especially because this gold mine is going to expire fairly soon. Get those Frost Giants out. A solid frost on those units. Frost Giants come in and can get a gold starve over here on this gold mine if he so chooses. There's the rain from Kimo, throwing up his armory as well. I want to empower that with the priest, but it's going to be okay here. And there's the armory as Rapl almost able to advance. 79 population here of 115. So it's fairly good. And Kimo obviously with only 49 population, not quite enough in the bank to advance. The rain will help out a lot. The classic no plow, but he gets sacred cats. Oh, no, plow and sacred cats come through. Little does Kimo know. I'm not sure if sacred cats works in rain with plow, but it definitely doesn't really give you any benefit by itself. But as soon as you get irrigation, it gives you a big benefit. So super worth it if you get irrigation quickly. So obviously that should be what Kimo is after. Houses coming up now for Kimo, as he is still attempting to continue with the efficiency in this game. Now the Sphinx coming in onto this location, going to be looking for some raids. Kimo has not really spotted all too much. He sees the villagers over here. The villagers immediately retreating. Nice reaction time there by Rapl, though we may lose one villager. Look at that, one hitting a villager with those Sphinx here. The Harako Sphinx now, he's got the double upgrades. So they're super fast, 6.36 speed. The villagers over here on this location, it's going to be really careful about a Locust that it could be incoming here, as Hathor is on the way. The Sphinx do manage to snipe one Ulfsark there, as the Sphinx just happily taking the town center damage here. Going to be losing another villager. He does lose that villager. Herso getting a couple of whacks away at the Sphinx, but the Sphinx will retreat and be completely fine here. The villagers just about wrapped up on that gold mine. So we'll see if Kimo can manage to get a goal, his second gold mine here. If he gets his second gold mine, he's going to be in a really good position because he's done a lot of damage to Rapl. And Rappel's pretty much committed on the army. So we'll see how he's going to go. The villagers are going to be moving over onto this location. Going to chuck that Migdol up. The rock is here, so we can start rock raiding with that. But Sukos, the Sphinx coming in. Will this Locust do anything? These are dwarfs. Nice split from Rapl preemptively. That's exactly what you need to do against any attempted Locust. We see an immediate market here from Kimo. So it looks as if Kimo wants to either sell wood for gold and go Mythic Age here with the potential Tornado, Locust, all those villages, and completely delete Rapl off the map. Or actually probably not, because he built the Migdol. Now he's going to be making his way over onto this gold mine here. We see the Raven flying overhead. There's the market up. There's the Locust, one dwarf Locust here. Good micro from Rapl to deal with that, but he will have about 20 seconds of no gold income there. As you can see, he's sitting at 58 gold only at this point. Now we see the Pharaoh coming over here onto this location. The Raven overhead should get dealt with, but we'll see if Kimo is going to be able to hold on to this gold mine or not. Finally starting to build some cavalry here as the Sphinx just raiding around Rappel's base. And I like that Rappel's not overcommitting to it. He's going for this attack as he has to. He could also just frost this and just really hurt Kimo's economy as well. We see one Sphinx dealt with very simply there with the Frost Giant. These two Herso need to get onto that Hieroko. Sphinx does so much damage. The villagers attempting to fight back here, and finally the Herso hitting the Sphinx. Nope, decide to not hit the Sphinx there for some reason. A little bit of a misclick, it looks like. And now Rapl retreating back, and it's not managed to push in and finish this off. No frost here has allowed Kimo to stay alive, and now Rapl is in a really bad position. We do see the Herso over here being able to deal with the Patsukos though, and Kimo is just going to be able to happily boom a little bit or go to the next age. Whichever one he really wants to try here is going to be sort of completely fine as the Pharaoh pushing forward. We see the Frost Giants are out now though. That's a big story here, is because those Sphinx will all get cleaned up, though the Pharaoh can deal tons of damage if there's literally any attempted micro from Kimo to hit those Frost Giants. Oh, beautiful. Getting the Rhyme upgrade there for the Frost Giants in order to make them live for longer. You can see a lot of them were low HP, and now they're jumping up to more like half HP, so it helps out a ton there. And now we've got the Jarl coming out. I love the Jarl from Rapl in this situation against those Sphinx, because this Jarl does, I think it's 100%, oh no, 300% bonus damage to the myth units. So it's a really good counter to myth unit play from Ra, is getting out those Jarl. Now we see the settlement coming up now for Kimo, getting that second talent center finally. And Rapl will just stay one talent center. So we'll see where Rapl wants to go with this. If he's just going to rush Mythic Age through Ragnarok, try and go for a Gold Starve, or go maybe through Tier with the big timing with those Frost Giants, could be an option as well. I'm starting to see some Lone Wanderer Ulfsark coming out in order to maybe deal with those Cavalry. A bit of an interesting choice there. Would have thought maybe Huskal Jarl at this point pretty good, because his opponent's not making any Axemen or anything. But obviously he doesn't have the production facility to do that just yet. So the Ulfsark more just fodder to throw in. And he has managed to push these units back, picking off yet another Sphinx here. And Kimo's not going to be able to make much ground here. And still no barracks coming out for Kimo. No attempted barracks either. So no Axemen to deal with the potential infantry that could be coming in his way. Now we see Rapl moving yet again, hitting this gold mine. And honestly, the score difference here is not really economy. If we were to check the post game right now, probably see the economy favoring Rapl here. It's just all just kill loss. And there's the Frost. Absolutely brutal Frost, hitting what looks to be 20 villages and a handful of units. Like, that's got to be like a 40 or 50 population Frost there. And the Migdol Stronghold looking like it's going to get taken down very, very quickly. More Ulfsark flooding in. We just see the Patsukos gets dealt with as well. Villagers over here grabbing all of that food there, doing the best they can. Now we've got some Patsukos coming out. Patsukos very, very good at dealing with these Frost Giants if you can keep them away from the Frost Giants. But if the Frost Giants get any close, then those Patsukos just get absolutely shredded. But right now, Kimo 97 population. Rapl at 108 population. Villagers jumping a lot onto wood here for Rapl. Oh, sorry, for Kimo, I should say. We're seeing these units just continue to flood in. Still no Huskal. I'm very confused about that. These Ulfsark. Well, there's the Huskal finally coming in. And now there's no Migdol. The barracks comes out and Axemen are going to start getting made. So Rapl definitely needs to go back in onto the Raiding Cavalry and Jarl unit comp here. Another Patsukos getting dealt with. Nice micro from Rapl. Very tough for Kimo to hold on here, as Rapl can just continuously push in, take down so many units. And the Patsukos will get picked off now. We see those Huskal coming up to the top here, going to be sniping those Chariot Archers. In a really good position here, as the Priest does manage to pick off this Frost Giant here as well. Now we're seeing a lot of these villagers having to turn around and fight here. And they're actually not that bad at this stage of the game with the skin of the Rhino, because these units have no upgrades. And Rapl hasn't been able to afford any upgrades so far. So he has to pull back yet again. His infantry-based army is not going to be doing all too much against those Axemen that are just going to be piling out. Kimo's got one production building right now as Ra here. And he's just attempting to continue building these villages and continue to be in a decent position. Rapl, on the other hand, should be starting farms. He's got only plow. He does have the quarry as well. One thing you really want to invest in as soon as you possibly can, as Odin or Thor when you go Skadi, is winter harvest. That technology is so huge. Because it gives 20% bonus on the farms. If you get that plus irrigation, you're basically hunting on your farms without any upgrades. So pretty huge. Now we are seeing Rapl going to attempt to get this talent center up, and Kimo, very smart, knows to move forward in this situation here. We'll see if we can make this fight work. He does have the counter units. There's a couple of Jarl, though, so if the Axemen accidentally target those Jarl, they're going to get cleaned up very quickly by everything else. Now we see the Priest. Only two Priests here. Frost Giant does manage to hit one of those Patsukos. Kimo too slow to micro that one back there. And Rapl not making any effort to pick off those priests just yet. He needs to take those down. They are, especially the Pharaoh here, they're vitally important for Kimo to help defend this. We see some raids here by Kimo, which is the chariot archer. It's going to get cleaned up pretty easily. Ooh, nice micro from Kimo to pull back. And he can just be annoying there for a hot minute. Now we see the villagers coming in, gonna get this town center up for Kimo, and Rapl still one town center here. It's looking like market is on the way, and desperation play now for Rapl. Looking like he's probably gonna go Ragnarok, but I'm not sure how well it's just gonna be able to work if he does go Ragnarok. So maybe tier is an option, because like Kimo's economy should be hurting quite a bit here. In fact, let's quickly check it out. I could be very wrong about this. Rapl in front, but not by a lot. So Kimo has managed to keep it close. There's the second town center. There's tier. So obviously tier the go here against like a behind economic Ra. It's not a bad idea to go tier, because it can hurt the economy even more. All the food villages will get pushed off food. It's like the gold mine's finished, so now there's another point of attack that Rapl can hit. We just see these villagers over here getting smacked, and a cheeky little micro trick there from Rapl, sacrificing the ox cart there to get his villagers away and alive. Do we see the winter harvest just yet? Still no winter harvest. It is worth it to just cut units in order to get it, because you get that economy back super fast with this many farms up. How many is that? 17 farms. So you get that food back pretty much instantly. Not instantly, but very quickly. Now the chariot's looking for some more raids as Rapl slowing the game down, trying to get this hill fort up. He's got some armory upgrades. No armory upgrades. The fortified town centers for Kimo. Economic upgrades. He's got irrigation, quarry, hand axe, and Adzi of Wet. If you get Adzi of Wet, you need to get Bowsaw. Basically, I feel like you don't want to upgrade either Bowsaw or Adzi of Wet unless you're upgrading the other one at the same time, is the general rule of thumb there. Now we see the tier has popped, and Rapl going to cast that down. Oh, that's a brutal, absolutely brutal Fimble spawn here. Fimble Winter Wolf, whatever you want to call it, spawn. These wolves going to chase those villagers down, but Kimo very smartly going to be just retreating these ones up here. But I think these wolves chase forever, so you have to sacrifice a couple of villagers in to get the rest of the villagers away. Otherwise, these will all fall, and this town center is going to go down. The villagers falling up in the top corner of the map here, as Kimo not paying attention at all. This town center almost going down as well. In the home base, Kimo has managed to deal with that. These villagers up here, 17 remaining. Town center goes down, and Rapl is in a commanding position. Wall's starting to go up. He needs to think about walling this, but he has the Raven up already. And where is Kimo going to get gold from? Kimo's at 97 gold. He's moving forward with the villagers, but there's already longhouses here for Rapl, and he sees a big blue dots moving past this location. Kimo looking for a gold mine. He can go into potentially this gold mine, but there's not any other gold mines anywhere else, as Kimo has not found anything, and looks like Rapl not looking at his minimap at that moment. Has not made any attempts to move after these. We'll see if this Olsark is going to notice anything. Looks like they just missed. See the throwing axe coming back onto this gold mine over here. Kimo does hit the Mythic Age through Osiris here, though, so we'll see if that's going to help out or not. There are no... there's the Pharaoh. I was going to say there's no Pharaoh, but there's a low HP Pharaoh here. And the unit's still pushing through. Mummy is out, so those frost giants are going to start falling very quickly. The villagers now moving in onto this location will spot the town center going up, so he can deny that one for a little bit. Kimo having to sell wood at this point for gold. He does have the trade up or started. 2 camel caravans. He's got 3 markets he could be spamming trade from here. 2 town centers. This game is far from over, even with the gold cut. The Ulfsark over here going to town on these units. the villagers going to town on the Ulfsark and the Huskarl, and he does manage to hold on with these villagers. Going to be retreating back with them. Potentially, you're going to grab this location over here as the Chariot Archers moving forward. Seeing that there, we've got the Son of Osiris pushing forward, and now Kimo can think about grabbing this town center back. The Ulfsark are going to chase these villagers away, but honestly, I don't think Kimo cares. I think Kimo might even want to sack these villagers one by one in order to make some more trade caravans. But Rapl, very, very smart. Rapl coming in, preventing the corner trade route. Kimo's going to have to go from this corner to here now. It'll probably be the safest spot here, and we don't see him making an effort to make that happen just yet. And that's huge for Rapl to notice that is the kind of the only way for Kimo to stay in this game is starting that trade route, and he does manage to prevent that for the time being. The villagers still coming back. The Ulf Jarls, the Huskarl coming in to cut these villagers, retreating back as Rapl is looking like he is managing to complete the initial gold cut here. And the Ulfsarks have spotted where the trade route is going at this point here. Still no attempt at the safe trade route from Kimo. Inefficient but safe trade route. And wait, do we see the Son of Osiris fall? I totally missed the Son of Osiris falling, but the Son of Osiris, apparently, a Son of Osiris no longer. Lots of idle units over here for Kimo. Not utilizing those to help him stay alive. Kimo, 140 of 140 population as Rapl still just pummeling in. We see another Sphinx coming out, but there is a Frost Giant here, unfortunately wasting his special there on a Spearman instead of on the Sphinx. The Jarls should be able to deal with the Sphinx as well anyways, so it shouldn't be too much of a deal here, a big deal. We see another mark coming up as the wall, not quite, I mean it's fine, but it is what it is. And Kimo just unaware that there's a gold mine here as well, so no attempt to grab that one as he's just trying to go onto this gold mine here. And still idle military just all over here. Is this town center going up? Yeah, no. Rapl doesn't want that town center, doesn't want this town center, just wants to stay 2 town centers forever here. Let's check out those economic upgrades again. Is Rapl trying to get further in front? He does have irrigation now, but still no attempt at winter harvest. And now Rapl pulling back. See the Frost Giant, 12 HP here. Doesn't manage to get off one final special ability, but does manage to freeze that Sphinx there as well. As the units still pushing forward, and Kimo happily utilizing those villagers as meat shields in his army, not even having them attack at this point. More camel caravans getting produced here. He's getting, what is it, 10 gold a trip? 49 gold a trip. No Pharaoh empowering this though. As well, you kind of can build mummies. Mummies would be a good option here. And we see the Pharaoh taking down the Frost Giant as well. Looks like it should go down, but there's just unit flood is so crazy good. There's Ulfsark coming in over onto this location. What I'd love to see from Rapl is like a wall from here to here, just to make sure that this corner here is cut off. Just to make Kimo's trade as inefficient as possible. Potentially a dock here and build some siege ships as well to prevent the trade route from going like here, and you can cut it down even more on both sides. So trying to see the town center coming back up. Kimo pushing in. An attempt to pick off some of these Rapl units, but champion infantry is in now, which is huge. We see the town center yet again getting denied. Nice usage of those idle units over here from Kimo. Still seeing more myth units getting built. Still making Sphinx here. Very confused about the Sphinx as we're seeing a longhouse coming up on this location. I love that for Rapl. Maybe some towers here as well wouldn't be a bad idea. How's the economy looking? It's looking really, really nice for Rapl now. How's the armory upgrades looking? Not so crash hot, but neither are Kimo's, both with similar armory upgrades here. As Kimo is still very much alive. Town center just about to get up for Rapl, managing to freeze the... This is such a beautiful counter to mercenary as well. You don't need to kill those mercenary cavalry, right? Because what's the lives up to 40 seconds, right? So they're spamming from here. So by the time they get here, it's already been 20 seconds. Freezing them effectively kills them. So you just need to get those special abilities onto them and then just ignore them for the rest of the fight and they'll fall. Just as an idea. They might have Magi though, so maybe they live for a little bit longer than that. Anyways. Another hill fort coming up. Still no docks over here to abuse that water situation there. And Kimo trying to take down the frost giants and everything else. More Yalls flooding in for Rapl, who's now 3 town centers. Still hasn't managed to clear out this. He just needs to send over like 3 or 4 hostile to kill off and focus the axeman down first, and he should be able to clean that up and then get the town center up for himself, or even just a bunch of Ulfsark at this point probably be fine as well. Grab those villages, make them Ulfsark, go over there. Still no winter harvest. Feels bad, man. How's the armory upgrades now? He's starting to get some more. No. He hates the armory. Kimo's now throwing down the siege work. We start seeing towers, walls coming up for Rapl. Love that. In 2 different locations here for Rapl. Going to be attempting to get that map control. He's going to... I don't know if I like making siege here, though. I like the walls and then towers inside the walls. You have to wait a long time before you build those. Getting a lot of towers up to make sure you control that location. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Now the wall over here getting cleaned up by the Sphinx. Potentially going to attempt to get a market over here in the corner. Still no empowering on this situation. The Migdol stronghold going down will probably be lights out to this trade route. And what is this? A 100 camel caravan trade route right here. Absolutely insane. We're still seeing Rapl attempt to get this town center, but he just doesn't have the units. He's going to try and bring the chariot archers into his tower range, into his town center range. Maybe Kimo doesn't notice, but now the ballista is out. We don't see burning pitch, so the ballista doesn't really do all too much damage until you get that burning pitch out. Now, we've got portable rams. This is the unit I want to see. Going to start taking down the market, but the villagers are here in order to help defend this location, so he's not quite ready to make that happen. More mercenary cavalry getting spammed in onto this location here. The heavy chariots over here are getting cleaned up as well. Another ballista is coming out. Do we see that burning pitch coming through yet? Nope, not yet. Another portable ram coming in. There's the watchtower. We've got crenellations, copper weapons. Another Migdol stronghold is coming down as Rapl just make some Ulfsark, get this town center up, get the extra population, and win the game. Feels bad. Migdol stronghold will come up here for Kimo, it's looking like. So I don't think Rapl's going to quite be able to cut gold just yet. We'll see if potentially Kimo can get out of Titan or something to come down. And this is what I'm talking about here with the catapult here. He can come in and clean this up. We'll get his siege tower out or something. Probably siege tower would have been better as the catapult does get taken down. Siege tower plus Sphinx would be able to clean this up. There is a priest here which should be empowering the town center. Not going for that one. Migdol stronghold is about to fall here as well. Kimo even taking into Boiling Oil in an attempt to take down these portable rams, but it just does no damage to them at all. Now look at this town center. It's going to be able to live forever with the priest empowering, or for a really long time. Still no burning pitch. Pretty sure burning pitch helps ballista. Am I wrong about that? I've been wrong before. Now we see the town center going up here. The 4th settlement for Rapl. That's going to give him a lot more population to play with. See another temple coming up in the front here. Rapl with 100 favor and still no winter harvest. No winter harvest. Imagine winter harvest right now. We see those ballista getting cleaned up. Town center stays alive, and Kimo has dealt with that side build. But at what cost? As the tower's starting to come up here for Rapl. If these get up, it's going to be really, really tough for Kimo to hold onto this trade route. Though Kimo can swap his trade route out to this location here. It'll be basically the same distance to this town center. But we've got now catapult coming through. Rapl does spot that immediately. Going to be trying to take that down with his units. This tower's going down very quickly. But not as quickly as they're going up, though, I must add. And Kimo, in the 33rd minute here, does decide to finally tap out. He's been under the pump for this entire game. Obviously, losing that Son of Osiris was a huge deal because I think with the Son of Osiris, he should have been able to push in and grab this town center back in this situation. This side pressure here from Kimo was really allowed him to stay in this game much longer than he otherwise should have. Beautiful walls here from Rapl in order to cut this trade route, make it worse. And then this attempt over here was nice, and it distracted enough to get in and set this up and clinch the game here. Kimo, not an easy player to put to rest, but none of the greats were. But nice play here from Rapl to just keep it up and manage to take this game. Not utilizing the Balder as well. Very good to see that here. And honestly, being well aware that the reason the score differential was so heavily in the favor of Kimo here was not due to economy. As you can see, very, very close, if in fact very heavily in favor of Rapl for the most part in this game. It was just simply due to kill loss to a Sphinx, and if you kill the Sphinx, then it's done, right? You can finally see that the kill loss here starting to look a little bit more equal in the end of the game, but definitely military units wise, you can see the red lines jumping up and down, up and down, up and down. The blue lines not really wavering all too much. So Kimo, late advance, forward gold mine, not going to cut it here. And Rapl did manage to take advantage here and get that win. GG. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.